Joplin can reopen the door to convention business. I'm Lisa Oligus, and this is Newsmakers. The Hammond Trade Center closed in 2018. Since then, despite many hotels with meeting rooms, Joplin has been without a large space to host big events like conventions. That's changing with the opening of the Joplin Expo in the former Macy's store at North Park Mall. We're going to learn about the transformation and the various bookings for the 40,000 square foot space with Joplin Expo Director of Sales, Jeremy Morris. Jeremy, welcome back to Newsmakers.
Thanks for having me, Lisa. Appreciate it.
Well, Jeremy also hypes Route 66 as a resident of Red Oak, too, and now president of the association. Congrats on that.
Thank you for that.
Today, though, we are all about your day job as director of sales at the new Joplin Expo. So you've had a couple of events under your belt. How is it going?
It's going really well, actually. So since August, we've been open to the public. We've done a few in-house shows before that, kind of private events. But since August, we've had shows almost weekly. And we're kind of excited about the outpouring of support from the local community. So thank you, Joplin.
Yeah. So let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about changing this space, because when Macy's was there, it is hard to get an idea of 40,000 square feet when it's filled with all those clothes. So how is it being divided up? Tell us about that. We even had some video of you guys during the renovation.
Yes, and thank you for coming. So it's a privately owned space now. So it's that part of the mall is about 8 acres, including the parking space that's adjacent to the entrances. So the 40,000 square foot space that you were referring to, that's kind of the heart of the 85,000 square foot building. So that is where we're going to hold the major shows. That's our trade show area.
Trade center, yeah.
But, yes.
And so go ahead, talk about those renovations. I mean, because you had to add like bathrooms and things.
Oh, absolutely. So, we had to do a lot of remods to get this show space prepared from a former retail space. It was the old Macy's, like you said. And if you go back to 1987, it was actually the famous bar, if you can remember that. It was kind of the anchor store for the mall at that time.
For sure.
That was the new wing back in the late 80s. It had 4 stalls for restrooms. So we had to immediately tear that out and increase that for to accommodate thousands of people showing up for our events. And so we had to do a lot of electrical, plumbing, lighting, pretty much a top to bottom remod.
And you've created even a concession stand area. Why add that?
Yes, so the first quarter of next year, we'll have our concession stand area open for snacks. It's kind of concession plus, we call it. So it's kind of better offerings than your normal concession area, but that'll service the middle trade show area of the convention center.
And then, is there sort of an industrial kitchen as well, or you say you would have a wedding space?
Yeah, this is a future add-on. So the central kitchen is a very large space near to our docks, and we'll be able to do a lot of in-house catering when we're finished with that. So we'll have kind of 3 food areas: the concession, which services the trade show area. We'll have a cafe actually in our 3rd space, which I'll tell you about in a minute, and then we'll have a the catering kitchen for when we need to provide food for events.
Okay. So you recently had a holiday market. How many vendors potentially can the Trade Center hold when it comes to typical booth space?
Yes, so the holiday market, that was our first kickoff of our kind of in-house shows. So we mostly rent shows to other spaces, but we're also producing some in-house, including the holiday market, the spring market, which is coming up in May, and also a home show, which we'll be doing in February, which is kind of return of the home show. But the main trade show area can hold 200 plus booths, 10 by 10s. We can actually expand that into our ballroom space, which is kind of our 2nd ring of our 3-ring circus, which can hold an additional 50 booths, 10,000 square feet. Each one can operate independently also.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So vendors may not have to wait for special events to have a space to sell. You have a section of the building, talk to us about that you're changing to offer sort of a boutique area, a regular space that they can locate. Tell us about that.
That's correct. So the 3rd ring of that 3-ring circus, we're naming that retail space Unique Boutiques, and it's a permanent retail space. So it'll be open 7 days a week. It'll be manned, and think of it kind of a sampler platter of local boutiques and artists and craftsmen, kind of set up like an antique mall, but not antiques. It's going to be kind of a local shops, satellite locations, basically a one-stop for different boutiques and shops.
And how big are those little spaces? And it does vary. They're not all the same?
Right. Every space is different, so we can accommodate all kinds of different vendors. We have end caps. We have large booths. We have about 70 plus spaces that we can rent. And
then what's going to be the process for getting those businesses in there?
Yeah,
when will that open?
Yeah, sure. So we're trying to curate this space with interesting vendors. So we want this to be a unique experience. Like I said, it's kind of separate from the expo, but a part of it also. So we just want to make sure that we curate good vendors, long-lasting partners.
Right. And then will that actually connect to the mall, or is it kind of its own entrance?
It has its own dedicated entrance, its own signage, and its own parking area. So like I said, we have acres of parking next, and we have overflow parking with the mall also. The mall entrance is actually going to be in the trade show area, so we can have 2 entrances and 2 exits to the shows.
Okay. Will it? Let's talk about another area that has a more elegant look. You tell us about the ballroom. We sort of briefly mentioned that. And what are some options for that space?
So the ballroom's kind of a smaller, more intimate space. It's 10,000 square feet. It can accommodate up-and-coming shows of maybe 50 vendors or less, 60 at the most. It has some breakout rooms too for meetings, and it will have its own food prep area and its own kind of concession and its own bathrooms. So we can actually operate each space independently. Also, we can open the double doors in the middle, so we can actually have either 2 shows going at once, separately, or at the same time.
Excellent. So, I mean, is it elegant enough to have like a wedding there? What kind of, I mean, it looks like it had a different kind of architecture.
Yes, so it's still in construction, of course. For the time being, it's not really it's more of a trade show area space than an assembly space. But future plans, yes, we're going to expand the ballroom to accommodate more private parties, weddings, corporate events, and meetings.
All right, so lots of potential.
Yes, absolutely.
So can those renting the space utilize the kitchens, and what amenities will it offer to those who rent this space?
So like I said, each part of the 3-ring circus can operate independently, so we'll have food prep areas. Hopefully by first quarter next year, we'll be able to provide the food in-house. So we'll have 3 options. We have the, like I said, the catering kitchen, the concessions, and then we'll have this cafe on the unique boutique side, which is more for kind of more upscale options.
Excellent. So what kind of folks are you trying to book here? Tell us a little bit about who's been there so far. I mean, we know when we had Jomo Con.
Yep, that was our kickoff in August, Comic-Con. Thanks for coming to that. We've had all kinds of various varied shows. We've had a reptile show, which was wildly popular. I actually bought a snake myself. I got a ball python at home now. Never interested in reptiles before, but I got into the show. But we have coming up a lot of interesting shows. We want to be kind of a 52-week per year event space. We want this to be the place to go on the weekends. If you need something to do, go to the Expo. There's going to be something. So like I said, we have arcade shows, gun show. We have a baseball card show. We have the return of the reptile show. Coming up next week, we have Merry Elfin Christmas by Zimmer Radio. They're producing a Christmas market. And then next year, early first quarter, February, we have our home show, which people can sign up for right now. We're producing that in-house, and that's a return of kind of the old HBA show that used to be popular in the area. They kind of lost their home after the Hammonds went defunct. So we're going to be the permanent home. And anything we do in-house, it's going to be a permanent location, but also an annual show. We don't do one-offs. So that'll be its spot on the calendar going forward.
All right, excellent. All right, well, we are going to take a break. So when we come back, we will be joined by a representative of Visit Joplin to discuss the impact of the Expo Center on drawing events. And we'll look down the line with Jeremy about what's on the schedule. As we go to break, we hear from vendors about this new space.
Ashley Scheibe embraces the theme of the holiday market wholeheartedly with her display of custom children's clothing inside the Joplin Expo. She has a brick-and-mortar storefront on 32nd Street, but appreciates what the Expo has to offer.
I do think it gives me great exposure. We are a relatively new business, so being here is kind of a way to showcase our brand and show the community that we are here, we're a small business, and that, you know, we want to grow here in Joplin.
For example, my neighbors next door here, they have a booth, but they also have a store on the square in Carthage. And so they can advertise their store and also generate activity here in person.
Wendy McCrane doesn't have her own store, and her items are not just holiday related, but she likes having a holiday market venue close to home.
It is really nice that we didn't have to travel for this, so it's pretty handy, and it really, I do a lot of like local school type jewelry, and so being able to have that target market here is very handy.
Wendy and others say location is key for a venue.
I like that it's connected to the mall. Parking is fabulous. Your foot traffic is good, and then you're capturing people where they can come and shop at the mall, pick up lunch, or just come here, and so they've got a lot of options.
Stacy Perry, who operates Somo Color Co. in Nixon, Missouri, agrees.
It's been amazing. Everyone has been very helpful. It was an easy setup, and we've had a lot of foot traffic, so it's been fantastic.
The traffic, the flow is great. It's perfect space. It's a lot of flow for the vendors for sure. And every one of us vendors are so diverse. It gives the customers more of a wide variety to shop for, regardless of what type of gear it is.
Michelle Thomas from Fairland, Oklahoma usually sells her car fresheners called Freshies at outdoor markets and is glad for the indoor option.
I think it's awesome, especially during the wintertime, because not a lot of crafters have that opportunity with the weather. Outdoor markets has been my thing since like pandemic, so if the weather's bad, you're either rescheduled or you're just out there in the elements.
Sister shoppers Cheryl Keene and Diana Crouch are glad to see the Macy's store space get a new use.
Oh, it's a great option. I do miss Macy's, but this is fun. This is the first time I've been over here. So I'm enjoying seeing how big it is and all the events going on in here.
They remember attending events at the old Hammond's Trade Center and are glad to have a venue in town.
I used to be in a Corvette club, and we use that Hammond Center for our events every year. And, we filled it up.
I think we absolutely needed the Expo Center. I think the Expo Center has been great for the community. It's a way to bring all different kinds of people from all different roads of life together and just create something really good and unique for this part of town.
There's so much that can go on now that we couldn't handle before, so.
Great location too, on the mall.
Oh, yeah.
We need more traffic in the mall, so I think it's great.
Whether buying or selling, all say a large venue space can offer variety.
In my business, I sell mostly clothing, some accessories, some blankets. When you come to an expo center like this one or an event like this one, it's good because you can go and find different accessories, you can find decor, you can find things for adults, for children, every walk of life. So I think it's really good because it's a one-stop shop. You can go anywhere around here and find everything you need.
For KGCS, I'm Jonathan Case.
Welcome back to Newsmakers, where we are learning about the new Joplin Expo as a convention space available in Joplin. Joining our conversation is the Assistant Director of Visit Joplin, Kirsten Landwehr, and returning is Jeremy Morris, the Director of Sales at Joplin Expo. Kirsten, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
So let's talk about the potential for this big space. It's big, and it's been a while since we've had a place suited for big events and conventions. So what are some opportunities we might have that we might have missed out of otherwise?
Yeah, this is fantastic because when we lost the Hammond Center over there with the Holiday Inn, we lost any kind of sizable meeting space. So now when we try to draw meetings to Joplin, we can't really accommodate more than 100 people, which really restricts us. And we all know that those meetings are important to bring in revenue for the city and tax spending and hotels, meals, gas, that kind of stuff. So having something we can actually host large groups is a game changer.
Yeah, and I mean, when it comes to a space like this, it's big enough, and then it does have the ripple effect on the economy, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And hopefully when people come and go to events here, they're bringing their families, and maybe the one parent is at the event all day, the other parent and the kids are out doing fun things in Joplin and seeing what we have to offer. And then that ripple effect even goes on down the line when they go home and they talk to their neighbors or their rest of their family and say, Joplin's a really fun place. You should have a meeting there, or you should visit there as a regular tourist.
Right.
Besides conventions, what are some other opportunities, Kirsten, that Visit Joplin would love to see happen at the expo?
Yeah, I wish we were able to draw in some sizable meetings. I know there's not a hotel located next to it, which was what a lot of meeting planners want. They want their people to be able to walk back and forth. But there is opportunities to arrange for transportation from the Joplin hotels to that location. And Visit Joplin can, probably help make those things happen.
Yeah, and one of the things the vendors who did the holiday market talked about is, wow, it's next to the mall, which for people who are at a convention or at an event, if they have some downtime, it's nice that they can go to the mall, go eat, do some shopping, get something else accomplished while in between.
Right.
So, you know, how do you think that makes a difference, Jeremy, in booking events too?
It's already made a high impact on the mall and foot traffic, and we've gotten a lot of feedback already from local retailers and restaurants as well. So when we had of course, our reptile show, all the pet stores said, "What happened? We ran out of terrariums and food, and you know, we'd like to hear more about this expo." And so also the local restaurants kind of gave us a thumbs up too. But we also have partnerships with local hotels, as we were speaking of. We don't have a hotel on site, but our website has links to pretty much all the hotels in town for discounts, so you can stay with them for a cheaper rate.
Do you feel like you're already seeing people from outside Joplin proper? I know one of the vendors I interviewed was from Fairland, Oklahoma.
Yes.
What kind of reach are you getting, and where are they coming from?
So the Joplin community has been very supportive of this space, and they've been showing up every weekend, but we're noticing that we have shoppers and vendors from probably a 2-hour radius. So the home show, for instance, that we're producing, we're getting lots of Branson, Springfield, Pittsburgh, Miami vendors, and they're all signing up. They want to enter this market, and so they want to tap into it locally.
Awesome. Because, I mean, then when they come in from out of town, Kirsten, does that in turn then impact the hotel and your business?
Absolutely, absolutely. These people are spending, I think the average spend for a person visiting Joplin for one day is about $197. So that trickles down and, you know, supports a lot of our community. One thing I like about the fact that it's in the mall is that food and beverage costs for meetings have skyrocketed. And meeting planners are trying really hard to find ways to circumvent that. So this is perfect. Let them go on their own, and you don't have to pay for it, and they can have whatever they want, meet every kind of dietary need.
That does make a difference. Does having a big event center make it easier to draw in big meetings and conventions? I mean, is it like Field of Dreams? If you build it, they will come?
I hope so. We're at the point right now where we're still kind of fledglings, and so we were waiting for Jeremy to get everything up and running before we went out and started seeking out opportunities for larger groups to come. So we will see probably in the next year or so how that pans out.
Yep, we're seeing kind of the regional shows and the smaller shows have already signed up for next year, and then some of the bigger shows from Tulsa, we're in discussions with them behind the scenes, and they're kind of hovering to see where they can land. They set their dates, of course. You know, they have a lead time of a year, so we're going to see a lot of shows fourth quarter 26 that are bigger, and also into 27 we're planning some big stuff.
And you mentioned you're even getting some maybe repeat business like Riolana. So tell us about that.
Yeah, they book 3 times a year at least, and so they take over the space for at least a week, almost 2 weeks. The reptile show, I keep going back to that because it was so successful, so unexpected.
Cool.
We thought it was so niche,
right?
But the whole 4 states showed up, and instead of doing one show in the small space, the ballroom, now they're going to be upgrading to the bigger space this weekend, and they're doing 3 shows next year. So we're getting a lot of repeat business. They're seeing that they do the show if they throw it in and, you know, take the chance that it is successful and the people will show up. Comic-Con was the same way. They've been doing their shows in elementary schools and high schools, and they said, well, this is going to be an upgrade, and we may have to charge more vendor fees and gate fees. But once they took the plunge, they said, this is our permanent home. We've never had this much traffic, so this is the best show we've ever done.
So more space sometimes is more inviting.
Yes.
Kirsten, let's talk about the mall and maybe the impact on the mall. I mean, the vendors like that there was mall foot traffic coming to the expo, but does the reverse help? Can this be good for mall businesses?
Absolutely. And this is a trend that's kind of happening across the country within the last couple of years. We see these malls that may be not as full as they used to be. And so different public-private partnerships, or even public partnerships, or public companies or private companies are going in and taking these stores that are all together and turning them into one big giant meeting space. So this is not that much different, except for the fact that it was an existing footprint there. And this is, you know, getting right on that trend to try to revitalize these malls and get them more foot traffic for their businesses there.
So Jeremy, let's talk about the spaces that you have. Can they be divided in even more ways to have multiple events simultaneously? Because you do have the big trade center space, but it is easy to maybe cordon off.
And we've already experimented with this too. Like I said, it's a 3-ring circus. When we have the retail location up and running first quarter, and then the ballroom's completely finished, we'll have meeting rooms, breakout rooms, space in the cafe we might actually rent for very small events like 40 to 50 because we are getting calls for those. But we can actually have all 3 spaces going at once. So we did an experiment a month ago where we had a show. It was a kind of a taxidermy oddity show called Moth Market. And then the next morning we had to clean up because we had a wedding show, totally different audience. And then through the double doors in the trade show area, we had Ray Alana set up. So we actually had 3 different shows in the same weekend. So kind of maximum impact there.
But it puts you to the test to see how it can work. But
yes, logistically, it's a lot to think of, but we passed that first test at least. So
yeah, that's
I think
awesome.
we'll grow even more.
So Kirsten, what would you say are some of the benefits of having an expo at the mall? Parking seems obvious.
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely, absolutely. There's just so many different kinds of things that can happen there, and that's what I like about it, is they're open to anything. There could be, critters to bridal shower, all those things can happen. And it expands our footprint as a meeting destination significantly. And one thing that has come about too, that what we do to work together with Jeremy and his show planners is that Visit Joplin every year has a grant program which will give funding to assist with marketing outside of a 70-mile radius of Joplin. And so these vendors, I'm telling Jeremy, tell them when they book with you, that next year's show, they may qualify for some of this grant funding to help them market this to a broader audience, which can then bring in people from further outside a 2-hour radius. We're putting it on, we're spending significant dollars online, significant dollars in niche publications that may address these or, be important to these different kinds of vendors. So we're very excited to help expand that way too.
Excellent. So Jeremy, let's talk about how someone goes about booking the space.
Sure.
I mean, is it just call Jeremy?
That is one option. Jeremy.morris@joplinexpo.com will get you there. I can give you site plans and price listings, and you can talk to me directly. We can put the email right underneath here. I think. That's Jeremy.morris@joplinexpo.com.
Oh my gosh.
Please visit the website. That's kind of the first stop.
Yeah.
Our website, we have links to our shows that we rent space to, but also our in-house shows, and you can register right online. A lot of these shows take 2 minutes to register, and you'll be a vendor.
So you have owners who were involved hands-on
Yes,
in
very much so.
renovating this space. Why do you think that's important that they were that invested in this?
Yeah, there's a real DIY effort. We're all hands on deck. We wear a lot of different hats. You were at the JomoCon show, and I was answering there was a media outlet there, and I was speaking to them while also cleaning. I mean, we do both things at the same time, sometimes simultaneously. But Jason Williams, he's a local investor, and he spent his own money, so his heart and soul is into it. He's completely invested with his own time and money. And you'll see him there. He's probably right there today while I'm on TV. He's probably sweeping the floors right now and probably wishing he was here.
Yeah. Well, Kirsten, it is a big investment. Why do you think, he believes it is good for Joplin. I think a lot of the people we talked to are like, oh, we haven't had something like this for quite a while.
Yeah.
Why is it important to bring that back to Joplin? What were some of the things that happened at Hammond's? One of them mentioned like a Corvette Club show. What else could be possible now that we have this space back?
Anything could be possible. We could have, mid-size conventions. We could have different kinds of conferences happening at the same time or alongside one of Jeremy's shows. And this is a market that we haven't had. And so there's not been a huge effort out of our office to put resources towards it because we've got 100 people or less, and everybody out there in the world that's planning meetings, if it's not a small regional or just a board meeting, they're looking for something that can host 500 up. And so I would go to these small meeting market conferences, and I'd be like, I'm the smallest market in this whole meeting. Right. So how can I get these folks to come to Joplin? Well, now I have an opportunity to bring that information to the buyers or the planners when I meet them at Nationwide meeting planner marketplaces.
Mm-hmm. And do we think we can draw from across the state lines? I do want to mention they are starting to plan a sort of an expo kind of convention space in Pittsburgh at the old dog track, the Camptown Greyhound track. I don't know if it's coming totally to fruition. Does that create competition for you, or is it, hey, there's plenty of people needing the space?
No, I don't think there's any such thing as competition in this business. Everybody has what they want, and everybody, there's someone out there for everyone. And for example, like Jeremy not only have we gotten his facility in play, we've also got that Route 66 Speedway out there redone as a fairgrounds. And so, you know, there's lots more to bring people into town in Joplin. And I wish Pittsburgh the best of luck. I'm not denigrating them because I wish them to be extremely successful also. But the Joplin has the advantage, though, when it comes to hotels. Because we have 20 hotels, we have over 1,800 hotel rooms here. And so it's difficult to bring larger groups for housing to areas outside of Joplin. But they have their own niche and they'll be great at it.
Right. And
So hotel rooms are kind of an important factor in this whole thing.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Completely.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot of synergy too. A lot of these shows actually have a circuit. And so sometimes proximity doesn't hurt. Sometimes they're just going to be part of that circuit. And so it actually draw more shows to us in a sense.
Having another space there, then they've got 45 minutes, they can come over and do another show over here.
Absolutely. And to add to your point earlier, we have outdoor space. Like I said, that 8 acres is it's privately owned outdoor area that we can use for live shows, for car shows. So we can attract bigger, different types of shows. There's some opportunities when I put on my other hat of Route 66 president. We've got some big events coming this way next year.
Yeah.
We've got motor tours. We've got other potential events that we need to speak about after the show because there's opportunities for live concerts. There's some big people that want to come to Joplin. Joplin has opportunities here that they may not have had in the past.
I mean, even when Macy's was there, I'm not sure the parking lot ever seemed full. There's a lot of space. So, I mean, you think you could, venture with your space, have events outdoors that are both in and outdoors.
Correct. We can use both spaces. Absolutely.
And do you have a lot of interest in it yet, or are you starting to get
so
feelers on that?
behind the scenes, we're definitely talking to, of course, like in the Route 66 community, I'm definitely talking about for some showrunners. Well, some of those are under wraps right now that we're going to discuss later, but some concerts, some car shows, some big ones that maybe used to be at the Tulsa SageNet and that sort of thing. We're talking to AAA Road Fest. We're talking to people like that. They want to do smaller, maybe satellite versions of their shows here. So it doesn't have to be a 300,000 square foot version, but it can be a smaller version, kind of a niche version for this community.
And Joplin is so affordable. When I talk to travel planners and meeting planners, when I tell them what our hotel rooms cost and what our meals and our gas looks like, they can't believe it. They're used to going to these cities where you pay $50 for lunch. Things like that, $250 for a hotel room. The other attraction about Joplin is, just like Jeremy said, that Route 66 anniversary in 2026.
Centennial.
So that's been a gimmick I've been able to push a little bit. Have your meeting on Route 66 in, so you can see all the things that are going on during that celebration across the summer. We're sitting. Yeah.
We're in the song.
Come on.
We're in the song, so we're sitting in a really good place right now through 26 and 27.
All right, well, we're going to look forward to all the things happening at the Expo. Thank you, Jeremy, and thank you, Kirsten, for telling us all about and sharing this information.
Thank you, Lisa.
Our pleasure.
That wraps up this edition of Newsmakers. Thanks to our guests, and thank you for watching.